What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to a speech that Mark Carney gave very recently, just the other day, actually. And it sounds like Mark Carney made some comments on the Canada US relationship and where things are. So I think this will be very, very interesting to take a look at. We just had that whole Trump Carney White House meeting that was kind of uneventful. Nothing really happened, nothing was really clarified. So I'm actually really hoping to get some insight here on where Canada stands on this whole thing. The US Canada relationship, everything that's been going on between our two countries. I'm really interested to take a look at this and see what Mark Carney says and where Canada stands on all this. So let's take a look.
Because of these advantages, over decades our economy grew steadily, more integrated with the United States through the Free Trade Agreement of the 1980s, the NAFTA Accord of the 1990s, and eventually USMCA agreement signed in 2018.
Right, okay.
Canada's trade increased by over 400% during that period, and our economy doubled in size.
Wow. So it sounds like Mark Carney is just kind of recapping or talking about the past, where it's actually kind of, it's wonderful to think about, but also depressing at the same time to think about how great and productive and lucrative the relationship between the United States and Canada was. In the not too distant past, this wasn't that long ago, when Canada and the US had a wonderful relationship. And for a long time, it's been really, really productive for both of our countries. So, yeah, I don't know. It kind of gets me a little worked up just even talking about it, because it just makes the whole situation even more tragic that, compare the past to where we are now and maybe where we're going. So let's see what else he has to say about that.
But this decades-long process of an ever closer economic relationship with the United States is now over.
Whoa. Whoa. I was not expecting him to be so blunt about that, or really in such a almost like an ultimatum. But in no uncertain terms, he is saying the relationship between Canada and the United States will never be the same. It will never be what it was, which is, I'm going to be honest, from an American point of view, that's tragic. That's horrible. That's really sad to hear. And it's coming from the Prime Minister of Canada, the leader of Canada. So, like, a part of me wants to think, maybe it's not true. Maybe, something will happen. Maybe this whole situation will turn itself around, or when Donald Trump is done with his term and he's out of the White House, maybe things will go back. And it's like, hearing it like that from Mark Carney really, really hits me, actually.
This decades-long process of an ever closer economic relationship with the United States is now over.
It's over.
And as a consequence, many of our...
It's over. I'm sorry. I keep replaying this because I can't believe what I'm hearing. It's over. This just makes me think of so many more questions, honestly. That's a very broad statement. obviously Canada and the United States will continue to work with each other and trade with each other to some degree. I think what Mark Carney here is saying that the relationship between Canada and the US was growing and getting bigger and better, and that is over. It's never going to it's not going to grow, or not in the foreseeable future, or Canada is not going to make an effort to, strengthen ties with the United States, which, given everything that has happened, I can't say that I blame Canada at all. If somebody did to the United States what the United States has done to Canada, I think we would be reacting in exactly the same way.
And as a consequence, many of our former strengths as a country, former strengths more particularly as our economy, strengths based on close ties to America, have become our vulnerabilities.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest cruxes of this whole thing. When Donald Trump started threatening Canada and then started hurting Canadians and the Canadian economy with these tariff policies and trade wars, and it was a huge violation of trust. Fundamentally, if we're going to make this sort of boil it down to like a human emotion, it was such a big violation of trust. And that is so difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild. So I can't say that I don't understand, because I do understand why Canada feels this way and is distancing itself from the United States. Because once you can't trust, when you rely so much on somebody and then they completely violate your trust and hurt you, your reaction should be to stop having any kind of reliance on that person, or in this case, a country. It makes complete sense.
And as a result of that, the jobs of workers in our industries most affected by the U.S. tariffs in autos and steel and lumber are under threat.
Yeah, make no mistake, this is not good for America. This is not good for Canada. We had a fantastic, mutually beneficial relationship. This is not good for anybody.
Our businesses are holding back investments, restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of the American economy has done surprisingly well after a huge decline. It's actually made back a lot of the losses in our stock market, at least, and a lot of parts of our economy, but
Restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us.
But what Mark Carney is saying, this, although we did just have a big drop the other day in the stock market. But anyway, it's the uncertainty. It's nobody, American or Canadian, or really, I bet any country in the world, nobody enjoys living under the uncertainty that Donald Trump brings to the American presidency. That is just from a financial standpoint, he's talking about how people don't want to invest, companies don't want to invest, people don't want to spend as much. In America, people aren't buying houses really anymore because of all of this uncertainty. And you can also extend that to Canada has no idea what Donald Trump or the American government will do to Canada next. Totally uncertain. And that's just not a condition that you can operate under. You can't live and operate productively under so much uncertainty. That's a great word for it.
Our relationship with the United States will never again be the same as it was, even though in this new world of protectionism, we have the best trade deal of any other country, and we're working to make it even better still.
Yeah, I hate to hear it when he says stuff like, he says it over and over to make it quite clear that the relationship between Canada and the US will never be the same. I still hold out hope that at some point in the future, probably 3-4 years from now, depending on who our next president is, though. At some point in the future, when enough time has gone by, maybe time heals all wounds, maybe, Canada and the US can have a very productive, happy, beneficial, friendly relationship. But all of the rhetoric and talk that I'm hearing right now from the leader of Canada is in no uncertain terms. He is saying Canada is stepping away from the United States. He is being completely clear about that.
Now, at the same time that all of this is happening, technology is changing the way we work.
Okay, I think so. That was the clip about him talking about the United States and Canada. I think there was one more clip here to take a look at.
As we build safer streets and stronger borders, we also must reinforce our sovereignty in that more dangerous and divided world.
Oh, he's talking about like Canada's defense and protecting Canada's sovereignty and Canada's growing the military. And you just know, like, I don't know for sure, but it feels like I never used to hear Canada talk about this stuff until Donald Trump made threats to make Canada the 51st state. And now Canada is doing so that's really sad and really quite embarrassing that the United States has actually pushed Canada, one of our closest allies, to the point where Canada is increasing its defense and military budget and doing all this stuff just to make sure it can fight back against the United States if, God forbid, that ever was necessary. This whole situation is so perverse. There's a word for you.
And that's why Canada's new government is undertaking the largest increase in defense spending in a generation.
Wow.
Or in generations, to be more precise. And we're forging new partnerships with allies, such as the European Union, to strengthen our shared security.
Right, so I know Mark Carney has talked about how Canada is reaching out to new trade partners, new defense partners, new investment partners, all, outside of the United States. There are so many opportunities in Canada that the United States is no longer going to be a part of. And it's so sad for us. It's so unnecessary, detrimental to the US too. Even from our point of view, we're hurting ourselves by hurting Canada. Nothing about it makes any sense. And it all just kind of came out of nowhere, starting with the Donald Trump administration, really. And this whole year has just been kind of a circus. And we were supposed to hear about some kind of maybe trade deal. This is old news now. For the last couple months, everyone's been waiting for a trade negotiation, a trade deal between Canada and the US, some kind of official big deal or plan. Well, Carney and Trump just met in the White House, and that didn't happen. Nothing really happened. And these are some pretty strong words from the Canadian Prime Minister. Very strong, very forthright, very clear that Canada is pretty much done with the US. I'm sure we will maintain some level of being cordial and trade because, there's stuff, we're so deeply ingrained with each other, with certain industries and travel that certain things will just never go away between our countries. But this is a huge step backwards for the US, that's for sure. So, yeah, I was curious to take a look at this. And I'm sad to see it is just bad news. Straight up, just bad. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on Mark Carney and Canada's stance on the US-Canada relationship and where that's going. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and seeing Canadian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.